This is Math 31. We're going to look at section 5.3 this time. And the subject is multiplying decimals. And the application, one of the applications is the circumference, or the distance around a circle. Okay, multiplying decimals is actually rather easy. It's not very different than multiplying regular numbers. You, in fact, ignore the decimals at the start of the problem, so I'll show you how this works here. You pretend for a minute that this is just 46 times 12. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 4 is 8 with 1 added is 9. Erase the carry mark. And then 1, which is actually one position shifted over, so you put a 0 there. 1 times 6 is 6, and 1 times 4 is 4. So you add these up, and you get 552. But now the decimals kick in. There are 2 digits to the right of these decimal places in the original problem, so you have to match that down here, 2 decimal places in the answer. So 2 numbers to the right of the decimal. So you get 5.52. Okay, this next one here is a positive number times a negative number. And you know from previous lessons that that's just a negative answer. We'll need to remember that later. All right, we do it without the negative signs, and we ignore the decimals for now. 3 times 4 is 12. You have to carry the 1 into the tens column. 3 times 1 with 1 more is 4. There's no carry. I like to put a 0 when that happens. And 3 times 5 is 15. Now you move to the 6 after you've erased the carry marks, and the 6 is in the next position over, so you have to shift it by putting a 0 there. 6 times 4 is 24. You're going to put the 4 and carry the 2 into the next column. 6 times 1 is 6, with 2 more is 8. There's no carry. And 6 times 5 is 30. Now you add 2, 8, these add up to 13, so you have to shift over a column there. You get 2 and 3. Now, count the decimals in your original. Here's 1, 2, 3. You need to put the decimal right here in your answer. And then you have to remember that you're dealing with a negative answer and put that on. So that's easy to forget. You'll have to make some prominent note reminding yourself that you got to change the answer to a negative answer. Okay, this one here is got a 3-digit number, or 3 digits to the right of the decimal. And this one has 1 digit to the right of the decimal. So we know ahead of time our answer is going to have 4 digits to the right of the decimal. Okay, 4 times 6 is 24. And 4 times 8 is 32, with 2 more is 34. 4 times 1 with 3 added is 7. Make sure you erase those carry marks between rounds here. The 2 is shifted over, so we have to shift ours over 2 by putting a 0. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 8 is 16, with 1 more is 17. You have to carry the 1. And 2 times 1 with 1 more is 3. Now you can add these numbers. 4, 6, 14, carry, and there you go. Now you need a grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4 digits to the right of the decimal, which means we have to get all of these digits to the right of the decimal. Your answer is 0.4464. Okay. This is the same type of problem, but we're going to confirm the reasonability of our answer. We're going to estimate. Okay, to start with here, 9.3 times 8.6. Let's get the exact answer here. And we're multiplying here. Okay, 6 times 3 is 18. We carry the 1. 6 times 9 is 54 with 1 more, 55. Now when I shift to the 8, you have to introduce a 0. 8 times 3, after I erase these carry marks, 8 times 3 is 24. And 8 times 9 is 72, with 2 more is 74. Add these up, 8, 9, 9, 7. And there are 2 digits to the right of the decimal. So I put my decimal point right there. So now we're going to come over to the side and estimate to see how close our answer is to the original here. This first number is close to 9. And this number is close to 9. So when we estimate, we should get an answer fairly close to 81, and this one is very close to 81. It's it's very close to 80, and 81 isn't that far off. So very good estimate. Our numbers are reasonable. Okay, what we have on this slide here are multiplication problems that are much easier to do. Anytime you have a 1 with a bunch of zeros after it, like the numbers 100, 1000, and 10, those all involve just moving the decimal back and forth to get the answer. Now, it makes it bigger when you multiply by 100 or by 1000 or by 10. That means your decimal has to go to the right, and you will simply match the number of zeros that the problem has. So if it's 2 zeros, you move your decimal 2 places to the right, and the answer will be 943.5 when you're done on that one. Here on this next one, you have 3 zeros, and that means you're going to move your decimal 3 places to the right. So you go around to 6 and around to 4, and then you have to pad with another 0. So the final resting place for the decimal is behind that 0, and you get 640. A word of caution: the original decimal is now gone, so your new decimal is at the end. You don't put 2 decimals in a number, and I've seen that a few times, and that's definitely wrong. Okay, here you're just going to move the decimal. When there's 1 0, you're going to move the decimal 1 place. So it's 846.1. All right, so then the next slide here is when you have numbers that are less than 1, 1,000th, negative 100th. And in this case, you take a little bit different tact. You're going to move your decimal to the left because this will make it smaller. And it's the number of decimal places is how far you move it. So the decimal goes 1, 2, 3 places. You have to pad with a 0 to get that to work. So cross off the old decimal and you get 0.0628. This one is the same thing, but before we get there, you'll notice that we have a negative times a negative. Our answer is going to be positive, but we have to take that into consideration. Okay, there are 2 decimals to the right of the decimal point, which means we have to move this 2 places that way. You'd go around the 0, and you'd have to introduce another 0. And then you've got so you have to go around the 0, and you'd have another 0 there, so you end up with 3 zeros on that one. And this negative times this negative is a positive. You have to take that into account. Okay, we're given values for x and y and z, and this first problem really only uses the y and the z. And when it says y, z, you're being told to multiply them. So we're going to multiply this 6.2 times the negative 0.3. Now I'm going to leave the negative sign off for now, but if you have a positive times a negative, your answer has to be negative. So 3 times 2 is 6, and 3 times 6 is 18, and there's 2 decimal points, so it's 1.86, but we have to introduce the negative sign to get it right. Okay, example F is a similar one. It actually involves multiplying x and y, and then later we'll add the z. So first of all, 4 times negative 0.03. negative 0.3, I mean. And that'll give 3 times 4 is 12, but you have to have one decimal place. And a positive times a negative gives a negative. And now I take that negative 1.2 and I add z to it, which is 6.2. And sorry, when you add these together, let me get this straightened here. When you add these together here, the one that's furthest from 0 will tell you what the sign of your answer. So we're going to get a positive result. And since these are opposite signs, you have to subtract. 6.2, 1.2, subtract. You get, remember to line your decimals up when you do this, 5.0. And that's your answer. Okay, finding the circumference of a circle. Now there's two formulas for circumference. The one we want to use here is circumference is pi times the diameter. And the diameter is the length of all the way across the circle as shown here. So we're going to take 18 times 3.14. Okay, 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 1 with 3 added is 11. 8 times 3, 24 with 1 added is 25. And then we're going to shift over when we move to the 1. You have to erase the carry marks. And 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 in the middle is 1, and 1 times 3 is 3. And we're going to add these. And our answer is going to have 2 decimal places. So we're going to put our decimal point right there. So the circumference of this is 56.52 centimeters. Okay, this is a similar problem. The difference here would be that we've got the radius given to us. To find the circumference of the moon, the radius formula for circumference is 2 times pi times r. So you're going to take 2 times pi. Let's do that first. And when you multiply there, you get 8 and 2 and 6 with 2 decimals. So that's 2 times pi. And now I multiply that number times the radius. So this is going to take a little room here. Let's see if I can sneak it in here. 1079.4 times 6.28. Okay, this is going to take some effort here. All right, 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 9, 72 with 3 more. 8 times 7, 56 with 7 more is 63. 8 times 0 with 6 more is 6 with no carry. 8 times 1 is 8. Erase all those carry marks. And now you're going to multiply, put a 0 and multiply by 2. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 9 is 18. I need to carry 2 times 7 is 14 with 1 more is 15. 2 times 0 with 1 more. And then no carry. 2 times 1. All right, one last round here and we'll be ready for our answer. If we take 6 times all of these, you get 24 on the, no, you have to put 2 zeros, sorry. 24 on the first round. And then 6 times 9 is 54. Adding 2 gives 56. 6 times 7 is 63, and 5 more is 68. And 6 times 0 plus 6 is 6. And then we end up with another 6 there. Okay, so 2, this is 13. You have a carry mark there. You get to 16 and a carry mark. This is a pain of a problem. And we get, this time we get 18 and 9 without a carry and 6. Now the answer here has 1, 2, 3 decimals, so we need all these to the right of the decimal. And there's our answer. Put miles on it and kiss that one goodbye. Okay. So the last one, thankfully, is a lot easier. We're supposed to take the price of a bushel of soybeans and multiply by 10,000. All you're going to do is take that number and move your decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. So get rid of the old decimal, and here's your new one. So it's going to be $89,050. And that does it for section 5.3.